What's up, makeup minions? I'm Witte from Witte Artistry, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm a professional makeup artist, and I'm going to be teaching you how to turn into Ruto, the Legend of Zelda character. Huge shout out to my featured patrons, Brad, Sheer, Dantastic, and Zotston. Thank you so much for supporting me in such a huge way. I hope you guys are well. New makeup tutorial, you know, Halloween's going on. If you want to see all my current up-to-date stuff, follow me on Snapchat and Instagram at Witte Artistry. That's where I post the most. All right, we're covering our chest with white, followed by blue all over our chest. We're using a combination of turquoise and like this lighter blue color. I wanted to create a transition from the chest to the arms to add more depth to the character. This particular character I was hired to do by a fan, which is super cool, but it's Ruto from The Legend of Zelda. And all of the reference photos of her are really simple, or really cuboidal, and just don't have a lot of detail or variation to them. So I wanted to make her more fish-like. So I'm gonna be adding lots and lots of texture and prosthetics, guys. Yes, 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 prosthetics. So these are silicone prosthetics I got off of Etsy. I have gills. I'm attaching them with Prosade. You wait for the Prosade to dry fully, and then you stick on the prosthetic. And I just kind of rub it around until the whole thing is secure. Now, because these are a special type of prosthetic, the edges are dissolvable with acetone, which is, you know, nail polish remover. So you just put some acetone on a Q-tip, and I was amazed at how well this worked to get the little flange off. I just rubbed the Q-tip along the edge, and it just started melting. And then they're done. They're on, they're secure, and then I took white on a powder puff and started just dabbing it upward. I wanted to create a realistic texture to this fish person, which involved a lot of dabbing motions to try to simulate scales without having to paint like every single scale. Because she kind of looks like aquatic and amphibian-like. She's not like super reptile-y or fish-like, but I wanted to do something a little more extreme. So we got these little green stripes going, and now we're gonna add some of the highlights back in with white with a powdery, puffy brush. I'm going to be trying to keeping my shoulders darker and anything towards the center of my body lighter. Now I'm gluing down my eyebrows because I'm going to be applying a bald cap. You heard me, bald cap. So this was supposed to be a special bald cap that also melts with acetone, and that would have made the edge super smooth and like blend into my face. But of course, it was falsely advertised. So it's a super thin, high quality bald cap, but it does not melt with acetone like I thought. So I'm trimming the bald cap. I have my hair slicked back with hair gel, and it's in a ponytail just to have a really good base for the bald cap. And now I'm trimming it to fit my head. Make sure the ear holes you cut at an angle and round off the end, otherwise the bald cap will split. And here's me trying to melt the edges with acetone, and it's not working. So I eventually give up, get really upset, and then have to trim it with scissors and then blend it out using liquid latex. So I'm just making sure all the edges are secure, which, like I said, it's a really thin bald cap, so it's a nice bald cap, but I wanted the edges to melt. Now I'm powdering the edges so the liquid latex isn't sticky, and then I started painting onto the bald cap itself. However, I rarely paint with bald caps, so it didn't occur to me that bald caps aren't very porous. They don't hold paint very well. So I'm dabbing off the paint because it wouldn't dry, and then I'm going to be using liquid latex to create layers of texture onto the bald cap where the paint will actually grab onto because it'll have pores. So I'm letting that dry while I go in and add some detail onto the chest. So I'm just adding little dollops of white paint to simulate scales in the center of the chest, and then dabbing out some more, powdering my bald cap so the liquid latex doesn't get all sticky. You always want to powder latex after you use it. And then using that teal color up on my face. I'm going to be creating sort of highlights and contours using different colors of blues on my face to really get that feminine, regal look. I'm covering the bald cap with the base color as well. And then you're gonna see me do lots and lots of stuff on this bald cap, seemingly covering up everything I've been doing. And honestly, it was because I didn't know how to do her head. So like in the game, she has sort of like a hammerhead shark head, and it has like water reflective looking patterns in the center. And it just wasn't looking the way I wanted it to. I wanted it to be more of like a realistic looking character, so I ended up changing the patterns and everything. So I started off with like a layer of white, then a layer of dark blue. I didn't like how it looked, so I dabbed it out. I'll be adding greens and other blues eventually, but she does have these cool little purple eye spots on the side, so I am using purple to imitate her weird fish head eyes that are on the side of her head. Adding white to the top. And also I am using water activated body paint for almost this entire look, dabbing it out with a sponge, and then I'm adding a more green version of the blue colors and then dabbing that around the head as well, covering up all the work I already did on the bald cap. Then I use dark blue in the center, blend it out some more, and now I'm moving on to highlighting the face because I was getting frustrated with the head. So I'm just adding white onto the cheekbones and the nose and also blending out the purple so it's not just like really stark spots. Now adding a dark blue to the center of the head. I'm trying to do some like stippling texture. Eventually I will settle upon creating almost like a mohawk of all these cool different colors and then adding scales on top of it. So I'm adding those scales now with light blue and white and dark blue, and basically layering them in the shape of a V, and you start at the lowest point and work up to make the scales look like they're realistically layered over each other. And then apparently I didn't like those scales, so like I said, I couldn't make up my mind with a bald cap, but now I'm adding all the texture on my face that I had on my chest, and then adding scales to the purple part as well. This was a lot of trial and error. This character didn't have the greatest reference images, and the client wanted a more realistic and more fishy version of the character than what was present in the video games. Adding a very glowy blue to the center and some purple that is present in the little eye spots, I am finally coming to terms with the shape I want and feeling satisfied with it. So now I'm making more scales that are a dark blue to a light blue transition by dipping the whole brush in dark blue and then the tip in light blue and just tapping it out. Then doing the same thing but with white. And then adding pure white scales to really finish everything up. Look at all the scales. By the way, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know I haven't been super active on YouTube like I said I wouldn't be, but I still feel bad about it sometimes. But I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I am putting out spooky makeups and all these really cool hoof shoes I'm now making on my Etsy and my Snapchat and Instagram. And those have been going really nicely. So here we go with more scales. I'm now adding blue scales to my cheeks using a snake skin template and just expanding upon those in the way that I wanted them to kind of curl around the cheekbones and underneath my eyes. Then adding those tiny blue dots up onto the forehead too. All right, moving on to the gills. I'm going to be using dark blue in the divots of the gills and the deep crevices to add shadow, and then I'm going to be using a light blue on the ends of the fins to really make them pop. And I'll be blending them together because it looked a little funky when I put it on originally. I am using water activated paint for this just because, you know, the whole rest of the look was in water activated paint. Blendy, blendy, blendy. I love these gills. The sculpt is amazing. Now moving on to the ears, and unfortunately my ears are super tiny, so anytime I buy ear prosthetics, they just don't fit me right. So making custom ones would probably be better for someone who has ears as small as mine, but these are beautiful sculpts, which I also got off of Etsy. Put down Prozaid, slip them on. I think their shop is Medusat Studios. So I got them on, and then I'm coating the ears in a dark blue alcohol paint and then going over them with the same colors that I had on my body with the purples inside the ear and the light blues on the tips. Add some blue little scales all over the place just to make it all come together. Highlight those cheekbones. Now I'm going to be adding eyebrows, which I thought would be really fun. She doesn't have eyebrows, but I thought it would be cool to make like fin eyebrows or things that resemble fins. So I'm laying down purple and blue and then adding highlights to make little cute fin eyebrows. Covering the eyelids with the same dark blue, I also put in contacts. I always save my eyes for last so I can put in contacts without ruining makeup. And adding cute little fishy cat eyeliner using dark blue. Really drag out that liner, make it intense. And then I decided I needed more scales around my eyes just so everything looks cohesive and realistic. Little tiny scales everywhere. Now I'm filling in my lips, which I couldn't quite make up my mind for. I ended up going with like a muted blue tone and just tapped out the texture. And there you have it, Ruto's done. I really hope you like her. She was quite challenging. And I just want to say I love you guys. Happy Halloween. Thank you guys so much for sticking to the end of this one. This was so much fun. I've been planning this look for a while now, and I was a little intimidated with the fact that I had gills and a bald cap and ears to apply, but I think it went over pretty well. It looks a lot like my original design, but I did change up a couple of the things on the head. Also, huge shout out to my wonderful Patreon producers. Without you guys, I couldn't fund my channel and my dreams, so thank you so much for supporting me in all the ways that you guys do. I will see you in the next video. Bye!